Hello, it's Stuart, the Unrepentant Atheist. I'm going to be doing a short review of a conversation on the channel Seen and Unseen. It's Alex O'Connor talking to two Christians, Justin Brierley and Bell Tyndall. Okay, I'm familiar with Justin Brierley. He's got a channel, I think, called Capturing Christianity. And Bell Tyndall, I'm not sure, but I think that she's a Christian. Yeah, she is a Christian. And they were engaging with Alex O'Connor, former cosmic skeptic. Now, I wasn't really too happy with the title of this video, because the title is actually "The Cosmic Skeptic Explains What Could Make Him Believe in God." Now, that struck me as a sort of interesting title for a YouTube video, and given that the video lasts 1 hour and 10 minutes, I was extremely disappointed that the only part of the video where they actually get to that question is the last 3 minutes. So I was waiting the whole time, hoping that at least at the halfway point they would start discussing this, but they didn't. The last 3 minutes, I'll come to that in terms of what Alex said and what I thought of what he said shortly. But first of all, general overview, my opinion on Alex's performance in this discussion is that I wasn't impressed. I wasn't impressed. I thought that he was a lot of what he said was bordering on drivel. Just seemed to me like a mutual appreciation society between two Christians and Alex O'Connor, who they probably see as the most Christian-friendly counter-apologist out there. And from what I've seen of Alex, that's probably more or less sums him up very well. And let's just go on to the sort of substance of what they were talking about. I mean, really, it was almost like going back and looking at Alex's career, how he started off. He was 16, 17 years old. He was a well-known YouTuber with, I don't know, several 100,000 subscribers by the age of 17. Then he went to university. He was going into university already being a YouTube celebrity, etc. And then he found out fairly quickly that when he was in the company of real academics, that he knew much less than he thought he knew, and they were running circles around him. And he found the subjects, obviously he was studying theology and philosophy, I believe, and he found that it brought a lot to his YouTube channel, which of course it would do. He went on to say that he's got quite a strong interest in the historicity and the study of the New Testament. This is something which interests him quite a lot, which actually I can relate to, because as a sort of ancient religious document, I also find it interesting. So the conversation didn't really move anywhere, possibly until they started talking about morality. And Alex made this extraordinary statement that, well, I think it's extraordinary, that if you take, if we're looking at the Old Testament, we know that Abraham was commanded by God to kill his own child, and indeed, in the Old Testament, we see God commanding the Jewish army to destroy, kill children from enemy tribes. We see this. So Alex is saying that if God tells me to kill a child, there's something that doesn't feel right about it. It's like there's nothing intrinsically wrong with killing a child, but somehow it doesn't feel right, and it's more of an intuition that it's wrong than anything else. Now, this led to Justin Brierley jumping in and saying, yes, Alex, I'm glad you can see, I'm paraphrasing what he said, that it's not only Christians who are appealing to intuition for some of the most fundamental frameworks that we use to live our lives. In other words, ethical and moral framework. You atheists do it too. And it seemed to be going in the direction that it's all about feelings and intuition for the big questions in life, like, is there a God, isn't there? Is it wrong to kill? Isn't it? Etc. And I've seen this from Christians before. They will try to say that, well, we've all got faith, or to some extent, we all appear to circular reasoning, or it's all at the end of the day intuition and feeling. They're trying to level. They're trying to level out where um, they're trying to validate their belief and faith in God and equivocate with positions that me, as say an atheist, would hold on morality, ethics, and other questions, and obviously also my position on whether or not there's a God or not. They would try to say that I don't believe in the existence of God, and that's an intuition, that's a feeling more than it is anything else. In other words, it's not so much that there's no evidence for this or there's insufficient evidence. It's that I'm appealing to my intuition that there is no God. Now, I admit that I've got an intuition that there is no God. I've got that intuition, but that's not my primary reason for rejecting belief in God. My primary reason is that the evidence just does not stack up in favor of that proposition. So I found that Alex allowed himself there to be. Whether he baited himself up and set himself up to be trapped, I don't know. But it almost seems like he did when he made that statement that there's nothing as such that I can say that killing a child is wrong if God commands me to do it. It's a feeling that this doesn't feel right. But really, it's more than that, isn't it? Because you can make a case, you can make a rational, reasonable case for why it's wrong. If God tells you to kill a child, you can make a good, rational, reasonable case for why it is wrong if you appeal to certain principles. So no, I don't really think that it's just a matter of intuition and feeling that if God tells you to kill a child, that feels wrong. Yes, it feels wrong, but there's also an intellectual case to be made for saying that it is wrong. And that wasn't really acknowledged, and it left Alex trapped, which he seemed to be happy to admit that, yeah, uh, a lot of his positions are based on feelings and intuition. He seemed to be retreating from reason and evidence, which he didn't really talk about reason and evidence that much in this conversation, which surprised me quite a lot. Okay, so then they moved on, and then Alex was kind of talking about he could see why people would come to Christianity, and he was saying he made another weird statement that Christianity is somehow being rehabilitated, and that secularists are now turning to Christianity. Really? Well, I'm a secularist. I'm certainly not turning. Well, I mean, I'm not really turning to Christianity for anything in particular, and I'm not really aware of if he's referring to Richard Dawkins' statement that Richard Dawkins is a cultural Christian and Christianity is fundamentally a decent religion, which he's bolstering Christianity as a bulwark against Islam. I can see why he would do that, but I don't really see that there's anything too significant about Richard Dawkins doing this. He's certainly not becoming a Christian, and I don't really believe that he's appealing to anything in Christianity in particular. But I think that this is all part of either Alex's game, either wittingly or unwittingly, of pandering to certain groups of YouTube Christians. I think possibly to boost the popularity of himself, because there are a heck of a lot of Christians out there. There's certainly more money to be made out of YouTube as an apologist for Christianity than there is as an atheist, although I must admit Alex has done exceptionally well. He's probably the one that bucks the trend because he's so popular. But one of the reasons he's so popular is because he's not hostile to apologists, and he's not hostile to Christianity in the same way that, say, Matt Dillahunty is. And that means that Alex has got a lot more support. He's got tens of thousands of Christian fanboys cheering him on because he goes easy on Christianity and easy on Christians. So, I mean, look, inside Alex's head, I'm sure he's thinking, Justin Brierley, you're a nice guy and everything, but what you believe is an absolute load of twaddle. And you're completely deluded. I think that inside Alex's head, he's probably thinking something like that, but he's putting a very diplomatic face on it. I hope so. I hope that's the case. Otherwise, I'd be very disappointed. So, yeah, okay. Then they moved finally to Alex started using language like, yeah, there are a lot of sort of mysteries in life. Like he looks at a cathedral and he asks the question, why is this beautiful? And he looks at a painting and art, and he's bought this seminal work, The Story of Art, which I'm aware of this book. I haven't had the patience to get through it, unfortunately. I think it's quite possibly the kind of book that everybody buys and reads 10 pages of and then puts it down, which is, okay, that's my case. It's probably not the case with others. I hope some of you guys have read it through, but no, I haven't. Um, yeah, so Alex is discovering art in a big way, or at least so he says he is. And, he's asking this question, yeah, why is that beautiful? Well, I don't want to get into that question, but it seemed to me a strange question because we've had Christians calling in to the line saying, talking about beauty and aesthetics, like beauty could not exist unless there was a God. We could not find things aesthetically perfect or very fine, in other words, beautiful, unless there was a God. A God put in us this appreciation of the appearance and the sound of things and the qualities of things, and supplied those things as well, either created or part of nature. And Alex seemed to be, again, flirting with his Christian fan base and making statements like that, indicating that maybe he's setting himself up with a mindset that he could potentially convert to Christianity. Um, I actually don't think he ever will. I think it would be hilarious if he did, but I don't think he will. So then finally, the last 3 minutes, I found it a bit cloying, by the way, this entire video. As I said, Mutual Appreciation Society. I mean, if you believe that somebody, in my case, I would not be able to sit with a Christian and have that kind of discussion with them because I would want to continually argue about the evidence which convinces them that there is a God, and I would want to continually try and present my view that no, that is not good evidence and explain why. I would want to be doing that rather than a lot of what Alex was doing today. But he did eventually get around to saying what might convince him that Christianity is true. And he said he could see that for him, well, he acknowledged that the Kalam cosmological argument, and I think Justin Brierley also acknowledged that philosophical arguments are not going to get somebody to Christianity, really. At least he's not aware of it, neither am I. And Alex said, yeah, that's probably the case. And that maybe one day he'll be beholding St. Paul's Cathedral in London and looking at the majesty and the beauty of it. And something about this vision of the perfection, the architectural perfection, and the whole conception of God and Christianity through this architectural masterpiece will strike a chord with him, and he will think, yeah, something feels right about that, that there must be a reality to a resurrected Jesus. Otherwise, how could all this be here? So he said, yeah, he could see how that could convince him that there is a God and that Christianity is true. But then he might see a beggar outside lying on the street begging for money in a wretched condition, and he could just easily suddenly change his mind. So he didn't really. That's the closest really he came to saying what might convince him, which actually I found kind of bizarre because it would take a lot more than a masterpiece of architecture or music to convince me that Christianity is real. It would take far, far more than that. That is absolutely nothing. And I was surprised, or not nothing, but sort of next, near nothing, at least in terms of my evidential standards. It doesn't matter. I mean, my big thing is music, and the Bach masses, the passions, the great church music that we've had from great composers is absolutely sublime, is unbelievable. But I've never once thought, and I feel that I've got a really strong appreciation of that kind of music. I never once thought that it's so amazing that there must be a reality and a true God behind it all. No, I've never even, that would not be evidence for me. It would take something a lot more convincing than that. Yeah, so I was surprised that Alex's standards for how he could see that he could be convinced that there is not really proper evidence. It's again, it's a feeling, it's an intuition. He's saying, and this is maybe why Christians are getting excited, that a feeling or intuition could persuade him that there is a God and that Christianity is true. That's why he's got such a big Christian fan base. Okay, guys, thank you very much. If any of you watched it, let me know. I'll be interested in your thoughts about it. So thanks for watching, and I'll upload this and look forward to your comments. Goodbye.